Snowflakes were still tumbling down when Karen's voice tore through the cold morning air, shrill enough to send birds scattering from the spruce trees across the yard. And there I was, coffee mug in hand, just standing on my porch watching her swing a broom at my snowman like it had stolen her purse. "It violates the uniform winter decor standard," she shrieked, whacking the poor thing's head clean off its shoulders. The head rolled down my driveway, bounced twice, and landed right next to the shiny HOA badge she wore like she was some kind of sheriff. My neighbor across the street laughed so hard he dropped his shovel, but I just kept quiet, recording the whole scene on my porch cam. I didn't realize that was the start of a war that would end up making local legend out of a pile of snow. See, I'd only moved into this neighborhood 2 weeks earlier looking for a little peace after decades wrenching on machines and loud factories, thinking building a snowman with my niece would be about as harmless as it gets. What I didn't count on was living next to the self-appointed winter decoration dictator, a woman who believed snow sculptures were an affront to HOA uniformity. When I rebuilt that snowman that evening, made it bigger and sturdier, Karen showed up again, little dog in tow, and a bucket of salt in her hand like she was about to battle a demon. "You were warned," she announced, dumping salt all over the base. My niece gasped. I just sipped my coffee. "You're salting my snowman." "Karen, I'm preserving the community standard," she snapped, stomping away while her poor dog nearly disappeared in the slush. That night, my snowman was nothing but a puddle, the carrot nose floating like a sad little shipwreck, and I decided if she wanted a war over snow, I'd give her one worth remembering. The next morning, I drew up plans like I was back in the lab, designed a snowman that could survive a small apocalypse. Dug out steel rods, old PVC scrap from the garage, and with my niece packing snow around a homemade skeleton, we built Frost Titan, over 6 feet tall, broad-shouldered helmet from a mixing bowl, black glass marbles for eyes, a grin sharp enough to catch the sun. The neighborhood kids cheered. Karen, peeking from her window, looked like she'd just swallowed a lemon. By lunchtime, she was out there again, pacing the driveway with a clipboard and her trusty salt bucket. "You can't have reflective surfaces," she yelled, pointing at the helmet that violates HOA subsection D. "Karen, I said it's a mixing bowl. It's a reflective device." She stomped off, muttering about citations, and that's when I saw the gears turning behind her eyes. The kind of fury that builds in people who can't stand losing control. The next day, she called the sheriff. Deputy Clark showed up, rolled his window down, and deadpanned. "You called about a snowman." I nodded toward Frost Titan. Karen shrieked, "It's threatening. Look at its posture." Clark stared at the snowman, then at me, then back at her. "Ma'am," he said, trying not to laugh. "It's snow," she huffed. "You'll regret siding with him," and stomped off, slipping on her own salted walkway. Clark whispered, "I'm not writing a report for this," and drove away. That night under the streetlight, I reinforced Frost Titan, added a wooden spine, a thin ice coating just for good measure. My niece gave it a name, and by morning Frost Titan was still standing tall, outlasting the sun, outlasting Karen's best efforts to bash it with her broom. I caught her on camera again, muttering abomination while whacking the ice. "Smile for the camera," I called, and she turned red, bolted home. Within hours, the footage was everywhere. Memes on Facebook, posts on Reddit, people cheering on Frost Titan. I thought maybe she'd back off after that public humiliation, but if you've ever tangled with a true HOA zealot, you know humiliation's just the starter. Her driveway filled up with strangers and tools the next day. A rented logging truck showed up for neighborhood maintenance. I watched her through the window, sipping coffee, thinking she wouldn't dare, but the look in her eyes told me this was just the calm before the frostbitten storm. By morning, her broom attack was neighborhood legend. Even the mailman stopped to chuckle about the viral video, Karen mid-swing, eyes wide, HOA badge flashing. Then the official notice arrived, typed, stamped, passive-aggressive to the bone. Unauthorized decorative structure exceeding height limit. It read with screenshots from my own footage, circled in red like crime scene evidence. My niece asked if we were in trouble. No, we're in history, I told her. By midday, I was summoned to the clubhouse for an emergency HOA meeting. Karen sat up front like a judge presiding over a snow crime, plastic poinsettias everywhere. Her husband beside her looking like he wished he could melt too. This man's sculpture violates symmetry, proportion, and seasonal harmony, she intoned, ignoring the laughter from the neighbors. It's literally snow, someone whispered behind me. I stood up and said I checked the rules. Nothing about snow symmetry. Karen's eyes darted over her binder. It's implied, she barked. I pointed at her yard where a sagging inflatable reindeer was tangled in lights. By your own rule, that breaks Section B, Clause 5, no inflatables. The mailman started a slow clap. Karen turned red and adjourned the meeting. I figured that would cool her off. It didn't. The next morning, a new HOA newsletter hit every inbox. All snow sculptures must be pre-approved by the board. I decided to push her logic until it snapped. Rebuilt Frost Titan again, this time with perfect symmetry, measured angles, a base shaped like a chess pedestal. Karen came out clipboard shaking and said, "It's too perfect. You're mocking the rules." "I'm complying artistically," I replied. That night she snuck out with a yardstick and a flashlight, measuring my snowman like a raccoon in a power suit. My security light caught her in the act. She scurried home. The next day, Deputy Clark returned. Another complaint, he sighed. "Your snowman's a traffic distraction." I pointed at her 7-foot Santa waving in her yard. Clark grinned. "You might want to expect escalation. She's creative." He was right. That afternoon, orange construction cones blocked my driveway, a handwritten temporary HOA inspection zone taped on them. My niece asked if we should move them. "No adapt," I said. I gave Frost Titan a cone to hold, arm outstretched, pointing at Karen's house. The neighbors howled with laughter. 10 out of 10 for artistic retaliation, someone shouted. Karen came running, shrieking. "This is harassment," I replied. "It's performance art," she screamed. "I'll call the board." I grinned. I am the board now. Not true, but it sounded good. By evening, the street was a stage. Neighbors gathered with hot cocoa, waiting to see what she'd do next. Even her husband watched, half amused, from their porch. Then Karen appeared, garden hose in hand, blasting water at Frost Titan, yelling, "Let's see it survive this." But it was already below freezing. The water froze on contact, encasing the snowman in a crystal shell. The crowd cheered. Karen just stared, defeated. That night, the icy monument glowed under the porch light. But at midnight, I saw headlights and the diesel growl of the logging truck again. Her last-ditch move. Men in orange vests set up property cleanup in progress signs. Karen behind them, triumphant. I sipped coffee, heart pounding, but I was ready. When the driver tried to ram Frost Titan, the steel skeleton inside sent the truck jolting. The bucket bent. The driver cursed. "Lady, you didn't say there was metal in there," Karen screeched. "He booby-trapped it." I shrugged. I reinforced it. Clark, scribbling in his notepad, looked like he was writing, "I hate my job." The neighborhood burst into applause. Karen, humiliated, threatened lawsuits, but her workers abandoned her. I doubled down, creating an even bigger, stronger snowman now, 8 feet tall, lights inside, a true peacekeeper. The neighbors adored it, called it the HOA Destroyer. Karen's salt attacks froze her boot, got stuck. Her dignity vanished. Finally, she tried to take it all the way, called for a violation hearing, packed the clubhouse for a threat to uniformity presentation complete with PowerPoint. When it was my turn, I played the video of her smashing the snowman. Laughter erupted. Karen's face drained. Clark confirmed everything was in context. The HOA president, Bob, admitted I'd broken no rules. Karen shrieked, "Then we'll make new ones." Bob just sighed. That's not how bylaws work. The meeting ended in chaos. Her grip on the neighborhood snapped, but she wouldn't quit. The next morning, I woke to a drone buzzing over my yard. Karen at the controls claiming HOA aerial inspection. It clipped a tree and crashed. I returned it with a bow. That night, my snowman's nose was ripped off. My cameras caught her hooded and frantic. Clark called, "Want to press charges?" I said, "Not yet. Let her dig her own hole." I built Frost Titan back now with hidden sensors. The porch light flickered red when touched. When Karen tried again, the red glow bathed her in shame. She slipped in the snowbank, and the group chat exploded with memes Gravity 1, HOA 0. It made local news. Karen went silent husband, gone insurance, denied her claim for the ruined truck, her house empty. The HOA quietly dissolved. Without it, people remembered how to be neighbors. The empty lot became a garden, the clubhouse a mural of Frost Titan. My niece asked if I missed the snowman. I told her he'd just changed form. The sentinel, part metal, part memory, stood guard. One spring day, a postcard arrived. No name, just Karen's handwriting. "Some things do melt. I hope this place is kinder." I sat on the porch, realized I wasn't angry, wasn't proud, just calm. Sometimes the coldest wars aren't won with anger. They end with laughter, echoing down a street, finally free of control. So here's my question to you. What would you have done? When do you stand your ground and when do you let it melt? Let me know in the comments. Share your stories, your wins, your snowmen that refuse to fall. Because sometimes just standing tall is the quietest kind of justice there is.